Welcome to EduCasts, home of EduCasters. In the often confusing, fad-driven world of American education, you've seen it all. One year, it's all about student-led discovery. The next, it's project-based learning. And the year after that, it's some new tech gadget that's supposed to replace teachers. These trends come and go, washing over schools like waves, and they all promise to be the next big thing. Then, there's the other kind of school. You know this one too. The desks are in rows. The teacher is at the front of the class, writing on the board. There are clear subjects: math, English, history, science. The bell rings and you move to the next subject. There are homework assignments, quizzes on Friday, and big tests at the end of the term. The teacher is clearly in charge, and the students are expected to listen, take notes, and work hard. This model isn't just the old way. It's a real, powerful, and thought-out philosophy. It's called Essentialism. Essentialism is the no-nonsense, back-to-basics philosophy of education. At its heart, it has one powerful, simple message. The main job of a school is to teach every child the essential core knowledge and skills they need to be productive, literate, and competent members of society. It's not flashy. It's not a trend. It's the anchor. While other philosophies are busy trying to reinvent the wheel, essentialism is making sure the wheel is round, solid, and still rolling. It argues that a school's first duty isn't to make kids feel good, or discover themselves, or change the world. A school's first duty is to teach them how to read, write, and do math. This idea is the bedrock of what many Americans, deep down, think school is supposed to be. To understand why it's so powerful and why it never goes away, we need to dig into what it is, where it came from, and how it holds up against the competition. Essentialism isn't complicated. That's its biggest strength. It's built on a few straightforward ideas that most people can understand and get behind. First, the main goal of school is cultural transmission. That's a slightly fancy way of saying that every culture has a body of knowledge, skills, and values that are worth passing down. The job of the older generation, teachers, is to pass that treasure chest of knowledge to the new generation, students. This knowledge, how our government works, the big events of our history, the laws of science, the classics of our literature, is what binds us together as a society. If we stop teaching it, we risk losing our common culture. Second, there is a specific core curriculum that is not optional. An essentialist believes that there are some things so important that everybody must learn them. This isn't a choose-your-own adventure. This is the foundational knowledge that makes you an educated person. This core always includes the 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic. But it goes beyond that to include a solid grounding in history, chronological and fact-based, science, the laws and methods, and English, grammar, spelling, and literature. The point is to create a common base of knowledge for all citizens. Third, the teacher is the authority in the classroom. This is a non-negotiable. The teacher is not a coach, a facilitator, or a guide on the side. The teacher is an expert in their subject. They are the sage on the stage. They know the material, and their job is to pass that knowledge to the students who do not know it yet. This requires a classroom that is orderly, respectful, and focused. The teacher sets the standards, and the students are expected to meet them. Fourth, learning takes hard work, effort, and discipline. Essentialism is not afraid of this. It believes that students are not just going to discover the rules of algebra or the causes of the Civil War all by themselves. They must be taught, and they must study. Learning isn't always fun. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's a grind. An essentialist believes that mastering difficult material builds more than just knowledge. It builds character. It teaches discipline, grit, and the value of seeing a tough job through to the end. These 4 ideas form a solid, common-sense package. Schools should teach the basics. There's a set list of basics. The teacher is in charge, and students need to work hard. Essentialism didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It was born as a direct, angry response to another philosophy that was taking over American schools in the 1920s and 30s, progressivism. Progressivism, championed by the famous John Dewey, argued the exact opposite of everything above. Dewey said education should be child-centered, not subject-centered. He said kids should learn by doing projects they were interested in. He said the teacher should be a guide on the side, helping kids solve problems. By the 1930s, a lot of people looked at this and thought it was a disaster. They saw schools that were, in their opinion, falling apart. Kids were doing group projects on Our Town, but couldn't spell. They were building models of Native American villages, but couldn't point to Mississippi on a map. The man who finally put a name to the backlash was William C. Bagley in 1938. Bagley, a professor at Teachers College, Columbia, gave a speech and published a paper that basically drew a line in the sand. He called his new no-nonsense movement Essentialism. He said that soft, progressive education was failing America. He argued that the job of the school was not to entertain kids or follow their whims, but to teach them the essentials of a shared culture. This idea of a back-to-basics revolt has never left us. It exploded again in the 1950s. When the Soviet Union launched the Sputnik satellite in 1957, it sent a shockwave of panic across America. We were behind. How did this happen? The blame fell squarely on the soft, progressive schools. Critics like Arthur Bestor, in his book Educational Wastelands, ripped into schools for teaching life adjustment courses like how to be popular, instead of hardcore science, math, and history. The result was the National Defense Education Act, which poured billions of dollars into schools to force a new, essentialist focus on math, science, and foreign languages. And it happened again in 1983. A famous report called A Nation at Risk declared that American schools were failing so badly that we were being swallowed by a rising tide of mediocrity. Its solution? More homework, a longer school day, a focus on the 5 new basics, and higher standards. This was pure, 100% essentialism, just with a new coat of paint. Essentialism, then, is the philosophy we always return to when we feel like we're in a crisis.